Greetings. I am Professor Gabriel Kraft. I presume you came in response to my message. The one I radioed just before the containment spell went up. I had hoped for a larger fighting force, but I already see you are no ordinary soldiers. Perhaps you will be enough. But we have quite a challenge ahead. You see, our mission is to stop the man responsible for the nightmare unfolding all around you. The commanding officer of the SS Battalion Die Wahrheit. The murderer who has now bonded with an ancient evil. Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List. Left unchecked, he will single-handedly win the war for the Nazis. That may sound preposterous, but I assure you, it is true. In any case, thanks to the containment spell, we are cut off from the outside world. Unable to summon reinforcements, or further warn your superiors. Success or failure is solely up to us. This is Kraft, with some background on the artifacts you carry. They were used by ancient priests and sorcerers in places as far-flung as the Yucatan and the islands of Japan. They were said to commune with angels and summon demons. But when we unearthed these artifacts, we were faced with a mystery. There were strange design details, markings, and materials that simply did not fit the cultures that claimed them. These objects were anomalies, anachronisms. They did not belong in those settings. They were alien. I have since confirmed the artifacts were created in the dark ether dimension. They were cast by inhuman hands, in forms meant to appeal to human aesthetics. Small wonder they got the details wrong. They allowed beings who could not come here physically to visit as spirits and bond with mortal flesh. Some, like Cortifex, were cruel and controlling. Others, like Bellica, were kind and benevolent. Alas, these relics became their prisons. Each demon is now trapped like the proverbial genie in a lamp. Safeguard your artifacts. Study them. Learn to unlock their powers. Just don't try to sell them. Any appraiser versus souls would dismiss them as forgeries. And in a sense, they would be right. Kraft to Special Forces team. We should talk about the entities you bonded with. You must have so many questions. Fortunately, I taught demonology at the University of Leipzig. I have more than a passing familiarity with your otherworldly partners. Since 1939, I was forced to work for von List on his Die Wahrheit thugs. I helped them recover 5 ancient artifacts. As it turned out, these were conduits to supernatural beings from a place called the Dark Ether. The most powerful among them, Cortifex the Deathless, is in league with Oberfuhrer von List. The demons inhabiting you are his sworn enemies. I shall do all I can to help you take advantage of their gifts, without being corrupted by their influence. Then again, this is a time for uneasy alliances. Who would ever have imagined Churchill and Stalin joining forces? Better the devil you know, as they say. So, for now, we work towards a common purpose with your demons. They need to stop Cortifex. We need to stop von List. Win or lose, we must do this together. Kraft here. As you well know, this area is swarming with revenants. I just want to reassure you that I myself am quite safe for the moment. Since the day the artifacts awoke, von List kept me by his side. After all, I'm as close as there is to an expert on the entity dwelling within him. When we arrived here in Stalingrad, it took the locals by surprise. The last thing they expected was the Nazis to return. But von List had been here when the Germans surrendered. He wants to turn the site of their greatest loss into the source of Nazi victory. To do this, he will raise an army of revenants from the millions who perished on the Eastern Front. But to accomplish such a feat, Cortifex must first build up his strength. Von List locked me in this room with my books and the radio. I watched from my window as he called upon Cortifex to seal off this part of the city. And I knew I had to act. Once I radioed for help, I used what I learned from the Tome of Rituals. The rune magic in its pages sealed this room. Of course, I have no idea how to undo the spell, but for now, neither Von List nor his revenants can touch me here. And now that you have responded to my cry for help, we must work together. We must stall their progress and gather information on Die Wahrheit's activities. I will continue to advise you while I formulate a plan to stop them once and for all. Until then, keep fighting, my champions. We must strengthen your demons if we have any hope of winning. Gabriel Craft, 11th of March 1944. I'm creating a record of my involvement with the SS unit Die Wahrheit. This may one day be called into question, and I probably won't be around to explain myself. In early September of 1939, I was in my office at the University of Leipzig with my assistant Franz. We were translating an ancient Sumerian scroll when a man walked in, unannounced.
You got me.
He said,
Never again.
I must immediately tender my resignation, pack a suitcase, and depart for an overseas trip as an advisor to the SS battalion Die Wahrheit.
You will pay for that.
That was the first time I met Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List. All I saw was a uniform and a perfect haircut. I had no idea what lay behind those icy blue eyes. I actually laughed. I had heard of his battalion, whose name perversely means the truce. They raided antiquities around the world, looking for evidence to support their belief in an Aryan master race. I waved him away, saying I had no desire to help Reichsfuhrer Himmler twist history to fit the Nazi narrative. Von List calmly drew his Luger and shot poor Franz in the head. His voice was perfectly calm. Do I have your attention now, Herr Professor? Gabriel Craft, Audio Memoir Part 2. After shooting my assistant, von List had me dragged out of Leipzig University and thrown in an SS prison. There were a dozen other experts already there, recruited from museums and universities across the Reich to assist the SS unit Die Wahrheit. They were explorers, historians, archaeologists, and so on. Many looked beaten. All looked frightened. Hung on the wall was a map of the world with notes and drawings next to different locations, things like the Grail and Thor's Hammer, Atlantis, and Shangri-La. We wondered if this was a joke. But when von List arrived, he was dead serious. The Oberfuhrer ordered us to help his troops find the places on that map and retrieve those relics. It made no difference that they did not exist. We would deliver them, or else. The others agreed and filed out to do his bidding. They were not stupid men. I alone defied von List. I said, I know what your Nazis are doing. I've seen friends and neighbors taken away. I've heard what happens at your camps, and I would rather die than help you. Von List showed a flash of anger. And then he smiled. was amused. I actually thought I had a say in my own fate. Craft entry number 3. I was surprised von List did not shoot me. I had refused to serve him twice. Instead, he sent his men to my home. They broke down the door and took my spouse to an SS interrogation chamber. I had put my values and dignity ahead of my own life. So von List made someone else pay for my stubbornness. Should I refuse to help the Wahrheit or drag my feet in any way, the love of my life would be slowly tortured to death. Of course I complied. How could I do otherwise? But I also made a silent promise to myself. I would learn of the Wahrheit's secrets. If we found anything of real value, I would turn it against them. Somehow, I would destroy von List and his Nazi thugs from within.
This is Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List, commanding officer of SS Battalion Die Wahrheit. I am broadcasting on an open channel to the soldiers assisting Professor Gabriel Kraft. I am not sure why you answered his cry for help. Surely you know by now if you continue to oppose me, I will eventually kill you all. But it does not have to end that way. I am asking you to reconsider your mission. It simply makes no sense. The man you are helping is hardly a man at all. He is a traitor who cannot be trusted. He once served Die Wahrheit. Do you know this? It was he who made possible my union with Cortifex the Deathless. There would be nothing for you to battle here, had that little demonologist not lent me his expertise. This is really all his fault, if you must point the finger. And now he expects you to risk your lives just to undo his mistakes.
Headshots in photography class were never like this.
Definition of a fool's errand. But you can still withdraw. Stop helping Kraft, and I will allow your retreat. Continue hating him, and you will all die horribly. And after that, you will take your place in my army of the dead. Can you hear me, Professor? Of course you can. What else is there for you to do than sit at your radio and pray for salvation? I should have sent you to the camps when we first met. It makes my skin crawl to even breathe the same air you do. You were my greatest mistake. But one I can still correct. So go on, play your games, do your worst. Those soldiers who are helping you are braver, finer people than you could ever be. And still they will die like dogs, one by one. And as they do, I shall savor the pain it brings to that soft, degenerate heart of yours. Oh yes, Professor, I will make sure you die last. The world I usher in will have no place for your kind. Only the strong, the pure. A world cleansed by fire will suit me quite well. You are but the kindling.
Wolfram, you remind me of someone I knew long ago.
I took the weight off your shoulders.
He was a pharaoh in the land of the Nile. He saw himself as a god, and everyone around him as vermin. In fact, he was delightfully cruel. But you, Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List, are a rare and special find. You have the blackest heart I have ever encountered in a human. You might have been royalty where I come from, had you not been born on this pathetic ball of dust. I tell you this not to flatter you, but because I expect the world from you, and you will deliver it unto me. This power I grant you is not something I would share with just anyone, but I am willing to see your dreams fulfilled and your enemies crushed. For you are a worthy vessel. You are the instrument of my revenge.
Oberführer von List to all die Wahrheit personnel across all theaters of special operations. As of now, I am altering our timetable, reducing the time allotted by half. Yes, I know this is drastic, but I have always asked much of you, and you have always delivered. We set out together to scour the globe. We sought objects of power no one believed existed, to turn the tide of a war no one believed could be won. And yet, here we are, harnessing forces beyond mortal ken, perched on the precipice of the greatest advancement in the history of human warfare. Our enemy now is not that ragged band of soldiers delivering mere paper cuts on the orders of the traitor Kraft. No, our enemy is time itself. Even now, the so-called allies are gathering an invasion force to retake Europe. This we cannot allow. The army of the 1,000-year Reich must rise completely to secure what is rightly ours. Until then, redouble your efforts. And be careful. Kraft's commandos strike everywhere we work. Take appropriate precautions and stay on task. The future of the Reich depends on you.
You seem unsettled, Wolfram. I sense something weighing on your mind, distracting you from our current efforts.
I am not distracted, Cortifex. I am simply under pressure to produce results.
I told you it would take time before I could raise your entire army. Oh, why are mortals so impatient?
Perhaps because we do not have thousands of years to see plans to fruition. We are mortal, after all. But my concerns are specific. Right now,
should have
the
kept my
Allies are
mouth
amassing
closed for that
troops in the
one.
British Isles. I need to mobilize before they launch an invasion across the English Channel.
Then I suggest Die Wahrheit completes your instructions. Only then can I raise your army of millions.
I look forward to that day, Cortifex. When our enemies make landfall in Calais, I want the undead there to greet them on the beaches. Cortifex, are you there?
Always, Wolfram.
They hit very
I
hard.
need you to be honest with me. How much support do you really have back in the dark ether? I do not expect them all to match your power, or even come close. But more help is needed to reach our goals.
I still have supporters. More than enough, Wolfram. Just do your part here. I will ensure your success.
If only it were that easy. Kraft and his new allies are setting back Die Wahrheit's timetable.
And I shall help you eradicate those pests. But you need to have faith in our partnership. You are my other half now. if you succeed, do I get what I want. Remember that. Our goals are intertwined.
Listen closely, plaything. I know your kind better than the others. Better even than Bellica. I've played with you clever monkeys since you raised your first cities. And you never cease to surprise me. There are so many ways to have fun with you, so many paths to lead you down. Oh, I hope that doesn't scare you. It shouldn't when someone who's older than time says you're special. Pick up your chin and do what they say. My playthings only meet bad ends when they dig in their heels. They have notions of right and wrong, good and bad, made up nonsense that just gets in the way. The ones who played well with me became emperors and conquerors, and some were even peacemakers. You're lucky you met me, little mortal. Loosen up and everything will turn out just fine.
We are new to you, human. But your kind is not new to us. Nothing has been new in eons. Since time began, we of the Dark Ether have been at war. And none know the ways of warfare better than I. For this reason, the mightiest lord of the Dark Ether, Cortifex the Deathless, placed me in command of his armies. We launched the Nether Wars upon his rivals, and for a time, it seemed we would crush them. But Cortifex is a cruel master. Loyalty is something he neither feels nor inspires. As I watched his enemies unify into a joint resistance, I knew he could never truly succeed. When I joined them and we toppled his throne, Cortifex swore vengeance. He sees the human Von List as the means to that end. There are those in the Dark Ether who would still support his return, but most would do anything to help us stop him here. How did it come to this? I was once General Norticus, Supreme Commander of the Night Legions. Norticus, the Conqueror.
Do not hug the bear.
Your tiny mind cannot comprehend what that means. But my adversaries in the Dark Ether would throw down their weapons and beg for mercy at the mere mention of my name. Mercy. I had no mercy. Just a string of victories that stretched back to the dawn of time. And now, I am shackled to a pathetic bag of blood whose lifespan is as brief as it is meaningless. Oh, how I have fallen. But I have fought my way out of bleaker
A bullet for your
circumstance.
thoughts, comrade.
And you are currently the only weapon at my disposal,
Out
so
of my
you
way,
will have to do. I will hone your skills, human. I will make you unstoppable. But only if you heed my commands. I save your world. You get me back to mine. Special forces. Is that what you call
With no
yourselves?
face.
I don't see anything special about you. I am Invictor the Destroyer. I am a veteran of 1,000 battles on the wastelands of the Dark Ether.
Emphasis on the boom.
I witnessed the best trained soldiers falter
You knew
on
how
the
that
field
had
of battle. And I have seen half-starved mothers kill warriors twice their size to protect their young. You never know who is special until blood is spilled and backs are to the wall. It is said all combat is based on deception, But nothing reveals the truth like a fight to the death.
The walls with their brains.
So don't tell me who you are, human. Show me. Bathe in the blood of your enemies. Only then will I know you are not wasting my time.
It was curiosity that first led me to your kind. I see something new, and I want to know more. And you humans are never not intriguing. I've had many friends and hosts among your kind. The ones who understood me best were the Maya of the Yucatan. They wrote, they studied, they sacrificed, and they made war, all with a clarity of purpose that drew me to them irresistibly. I was there throughout their rise and fall. I tried in vain to teach them rune magic. Alas, none was prepared for everything I offered. I have watched your nations and cultures come and go ever since. I always look for signs that they are heading for collapse.
This isn't
But I have never seen anything like this current conflict. This Second World War is the most consequential event in the brief history of humanity. The outcome of this war will be decided by you, my pupils, right here. And if you accept my counsel, I can help you avoid disaster. I never get tired of watching you. Humans, I mean. Humanity. Always exploring, always building, always finding new and interesting ways to kill each other. My name is Belakar the Warlock. I wrote the histories of the Nether Wars. I was right there, on the battlefields of the Dark Ether. I've seen so many armies clash, the outcome decided by speed, deception, firepower, magic, the weather. But you humans find the most poetic ways to win, and stalemate, and completely lose the day. I cannot get enough of it. So if you and I are to chart a path to victory, don't be shy. Share your insights. Let me know what you're thinking. The more I understand your ways of war, the more I can help you. Secrets have their place in combat, but keep nothing from me.